Good evening, everyone, or morning or afternoon from wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the Master of Science in Data Analytics and Program Evaluation informational session. My name is Rihanna Campbell. I am your humble host and also a student success advocate for the program. I have some wonderful guest speakers that I'm joined by, but I just want to give a couple more moments for those who are coming in. I see a few of you are joining. Some of you may be joining from work, um, which is perfectly wonderful. Be sure to get settled, to listen in, and we are just so excited to answer all of your questions. It looks like most everybody is here, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, like I said, my name is Rihanna. Essentially, my role is helping to make sure that you guys are getting set up as new students and that throughout your time, there's no barriers to your success. So, what that might look like is making sure that documents are in, making sure that you are able to connect with your professors so that they can then be your content experts, which I have a couple of them here with me today. So, with that, just some housekeeping reminders. This webinar is going to be about 45 minutes approximately. There will be a recording available. So again, if you need to step out for any reason, that is fine. We do have a Q&A feature in the chat. So if you have questions, do use that Q&A feature. We'll either answer them live or directly type them out, depending on what's most appropriate and how applicable it is to everyone. And then I want everyone to take an opportunity to take down this number. So that 1-800-411-2290 number, that is going to be the number to call to speak with one of our amazing enrollment advisors. They're incredibly knowledgeable about the program and can give you more specific information regarding your individual circumstances. So with that, just wanted to give a overview of the program. It is 10 courses long. So that means about 5 semesters if you don't take any breaks. That's about 20 months to complete. The program does not require an entrance exam such as a GMAT or GRE. And the courses are structured so that you're able to focus at one at a time. So there's 7 weeks each. There's about a week or so break, week to 2 week, depending on the semester, in between the 7 week courses. And then in between semesters, you have about a 2 week break.
Sure. So we have 10 classes over 20 months. And as Rihanna said, you will be having one course per 7 weeks. And the way that we're breaking this one down is the first four courses are more coming from research methods and qualitative research, dealing with more not just number, but it's a dialogue or some other way that it doesn't have to be numbers. So those are the first core courses. And then after then, we have the next four courses. Those are the one that will be going with more computational modeling, at the same time statistical analysis. And here, 711 is taken twice because the first one, 711, is text analysis, sentiment analysis. The other 711 is machine learning analysis. So those are 711 is taken twice because of two different topics are covered. And once you build up your skills out of those 8 classes, you will be working on capstone 1 and capstone 2, where Liz is working right now, that she will be graduating soon. And this is about your own research project based upon what you learned from all 8 classes. You will be independently working on your projects from the beginning to the end. So those are 10 courses that we laid out for you guys for 20 months. 20 months sounds long, but it's not that long, right, Liz?
Yeah, not at all. It goes by very quickly. So, and it's all very manageable. So yes.
Thank you, Liz, for your testimony.
Amazing. So, just wanted to get into the nitty-gritty of things, and dive in really and truly. So, starting with Dr. On and Dr. Kara, are there specific attributes in students that you find make them prepared for the program stepping in?
So I usually say about curiosity is a number one. The reason the curiosity coming in is it's a more important right now, given that a lot of AI is coming into our life. So you need to be curious about what you are curious about and what you want to work on, and using the data and think about what you can make the differences in whatever you're working on. And the one that we are looking at over here is not just a skilled data person or a skilled computation modeling person. The one I see is I want someone who can work with data, make the data-driven leaders. So data-driven decision-making leader is the one I am looking from this whole program. So it's a different from the way everybody think about. We're going to do a lot of computation modeling. We're going to do a lot of programming. Instead of that one, you will be playing with the data set that you will become the leaders who can work with the data and communicate your data very effectively. So the one I'm looking for is curious, intelligent, and trying to work on it, make the changes as the leaders. So if you have such attributes, I think you guys are our customers, our next students, our next colleagues. So that's what I see as attributes. Dr. Kara, do you have other thoughts?
Well, thanks, Dr. An. Actually, curiosity is literally the, like driving force, I think, behind our program because you will let the data speak and then tell your story. And of course, like it's not only just telling the story, but also to make an impact, definitely. And without data nowadays, I don't think like any decisions will be kind of like based on a solid foundation. And all the AI algorithms or everything about AI, literally like they depend on the data. So this is how data have been very important, but also with the AI age, it's even like more than important than it was before. Definitely, like if someone, we are not like particularly looking for students like those are literally like like quantitative heavy people, or like I personally don't expect anyone to have like a really solid background, let's say in mathematics. So all those courses that you saw, those like start from the basics and then move forward. And we always value like to connect whatever we do with the real world. So it's not only like abstract and then trying to learn about some sort of data analysis, and then after that you feel like, oh, what's the so what question here? So definitely all the courses, they have a connection with the real world, and of course like you will be coming from different fields or perspectives, and you will find the value to like apply those techniques to answer your own questions, and then to support all the like Dr. Ron said, like leaders to make decisions or to make an impact in whatever society you are going to be.
Absolutely. To echo what both of you said, I've met a lot of students in the data analytics program say I'm not a math person, but they learn how much being able to defend whatever they're curious about with data is leadership based. So, with that, Liz, Dr. Kara mentioned about applying data to real world. How have you applied the skills that you've learned, the information you've learned in the program thus far? How do you hope to in the future?
Okay, so I work with a lot of grants and surveys. So I came into the program with some data background, and I feel like a lot of interesting. One of the things I like is that you have like some of the qualitative and some of the quantitative aspects of the program. So you learn not just like, oh, hey, I'm going to learn how to do stats and I'm going to learn how to plug something in, but you learn some of like the skills and the language. So some of the projects and programs I've worked on, I've used different analyses. And a lot of like just the language and the framing is, I think, what I've taken more of. And then moving forward, I feel like I had not done Python before, and that was like something I was really interested in when going into the program. And then you guys are, AI has been brought up. I think I keep on, I keep on looking at all these different things from a different angle where I'm like, oh, now I know like a little more of how this works. So it really just opens up like understanding the data perspective, really opens up any field that you want. And so how I plan to use that moving forward is, I guess, kind of like with all the possibilities I can. And so kind of more of like as a, like just having a really strong toolkit to go wherever I am forward, if that helps.
Absolutely. Have definitely seen students who are already kind of immersed in the world of data benefit, but also those who have not. It's and for you guys to learn from each other, it's been amazing. So, with that, one of the concerns that I often hear from students who are anticipating the program is I love that it's flexible, it's online, but online it seems to be lonely in some spaces. Starting with our faculty, what opportunities do you get to initiate those connections with your students? How do you do so?
So Dr. Kara, do you want to go? Because I started last time, so maybe you should
Yeah,
go first.
sure, absolutely. So, well, I think my quick reaction to that will be, like, to be honest, I am also a learner. For example, like currently I am enrolled in a, like a long program that is funded by, Department of Education. And we have like a really diverse group of participants, literally like, junior faculty members, some of them like they work in industry. And that's also like about machine learning and, new data. So we have like a really good, connection with those students, I will call them, but also colleagues and friends. And, like looking at this time, and thinking that, wow, online is not like going to be as good as like in person, I would say probably I won't agree with that. We can like still stimulate the same, relationship between the faculty and students. And of course, students will have a good interaction among each other. And also some of our tasks or some of our actually labs, they require students to really communicate with each other on the platform, which is, either, actually Canvas is going to be new, but also we have Blackboard for sure. So which means we are trying our best to like really keep the connection between students, between student and faculty. And it is not only like voluntarily because some of the tasks, they require that to happen. And again, like, within these like 21st century with AI age, like learning is accessible everywhere and for everybody. So that is for sure like the program itself, the online program is should be considered as an advantage rather than as a disadvantage, I would say. And I will just defer it to Dr. An. I'm sure like she will have more than to add.
Well, the interesting thing is whenever students are emailing me and they said, I was talking to my colleagues through WhatsApp. This is what I got from my other colleagues. And then the other time they said, well, we were talking about football whenever Hurricane is playing with, others. So now I know that all of the students, they are connected with the WhatsApp. But of course, they didn't include me because they were talking about football, they're talking about other things. But I'm sure the students have that connection through the WhatsApp. Maybe Liz can talk about that one later more. But that's one thing that students are connected. The other one with, especially Liz, she showed up my office, and even though she's an online student, she said, I am down here, I'm going to come and see you and we can talk about my project or my futures. And she just came to my office. We had a face-to-face conversation while we are also having this online meetings through the Zoom or some other things. So there are still lots of connection you can make it, not through only online, but at the same time you can pops up. And even though, you are in New York and New York is cold in winter, you can come down Miami, just coming into UM and just pops up there, then I and Dr. Carol will be there. That's another way that you can make the connection. The other one is our program is, of course, asynchronous, so you will be watching your video, but still we are hosting our live stream, and that is mandatory for all of instructor. They need to do it. So if you choose to show up in synchronous live stream, you can show up. At the same time, we are hosting office hours. So I'm gonna say that it doesn't have to be always online. It doesn't have to be always WhatsApp. You have a lot of other connections that you can make. But I want to ask Liz, because Liz is about to graduate, and Liz might have other tips that she can share with others about not being lonely.
Yes, WhatsApp is key. It's very key. I think early, because I've talked to some of the people who I know who are now in like a different cohort and said that, oh, you guys aren't like my new cohort, or the cohort is not as chatty. So we are chatty, we're all friends, and I think that's really important to not just be discussing like, oh, what did you think about homework one? It's like, hey, I'm visiting my family. This is a picture of my dog. Like you know someone as a person. So I think a lot of times the online you lose some of that unless you make the effort. So we early on created a WhatsApp group, introduced ourselves, and just kind of chatted about who we were. And then kind of, as the program progresses, we've gotten to know each other pretty well. So I really suggest not just like on the platform, like reach out socially, make friends, make friends. And then the other thing that I think is kind of one of the advantages, I work at home mostly. So at home and then online school, it can be hard. But you also, because it's asynchronous, you have a lot of time, like you have a lot more flexibility. So if it's, the middle of the day and you want to do like a workout, or you want to go travel and you look through your schedule and you're like, ooh, you know what? I think I can make this work. You have a whole lot more flexibility, so you can plan a lot of time for yourself. And it is important to reach out. And I think because you don't have that face to face, you are almost like encouraged more to do it, because otherwise it's like, wow, I don't know anyone. So, in a face-to-face person, you might just have like these casual interactions where you're seeing the person but not really developing a relationship. But I've developed friendships with the people in my cohort. So I don't think it's a disadvantage. I think it's a nice format.
Absolutely. Definitely intentional about creating those connections. Now, Liz, you mentioned something key about time management and how that might look different based on where you work, how you work, the modality, etc. A question that we have gotten a few times in the info sessions is, how many hours per week on average are you usually spending? Does it vary? Does it depend on the class? What does it look like for you?
Yeah, I was hoping you weren't going to ask that question. I have no idea. That sounds bad. It definitely varies. It's class to class is different. And it definitely varies week to week. So generally the beginning of the course, it's usually like pretty light and you can be like, oh, I'm just looking at this often. And then towards the end and sometimes in the middle, you have like very heavy assignments and it's a whole lot. And everyone has their own way of working with it. Whether you kind of have like 1 or 2 days that you really chunk and you do all day work. And I think a lot of it depends on what else, how your other work life is structured. But it is definitely significant time portion. I couldn't tell you how many, I could not tell you exactly how many hours, but it's, like it's definitely a significant portion and it really varies. So it's very important to look and kind of like plan in the beginning, like knowing, okay, this is going to be the heavy assignment portion and this is the light assignment portion, because it is not the same throughout the semester. So yeah, hopefully that's at
Cyclical.
least kind of helpful.
Cyclical. It is a very cyclical program for sure. Dr. On and Dr. Kara, from your courses, what opportunities do students have to prepare in advance just based off of how your deadlines are structured, your expectations, etc.?
So the way that Liz knows because she's taking my capstone projects right now, and every week we are giving the exercises that you must follow, and you don't want to delay every week's assignment. Then later on you can say, "Oh, can I have a couple of extension?" Of course, all of instructors say yes. We understand because you have a lot of life and work balance. It's okay to have some legal room. However, if you are delaying things, it's gonna be, I guess, tough later on. So you need to understand if you are delaying things, it's not gonna be really the same. However, for me, always, you are the one who will be driving your car. And you need to see what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and you also need to negotiate with yourself and your family member at the same time your instructors. Instead of the one that I always try to ask people to avoid is not just try to be completely stranger. Whenever you have something going on, you need to talk to your instructor and just let them know that this is what's happening. And because we are also living our life as instructor, we also understand how life can be not normal all the time. So if that is the case, you might want to say that one to our instructor. So it's more about communication. It's more about planning yourself and negotiating with you and see how you can be dedicating things around it. If that doesn't work, you are also having the time that you can come to our office hours and try to get things done as much as you can with instructors around it or friends or colleagues. Sometimes whatever we're talking doesn't make sense, but maybe Lee's explaining it. It sounds so right. So you need to use a lot of resources around it. I think those are what I think that will be a great way to go with it for our classes. For me, I usually say you are the owner. You are the one who need to be really think about what works best for you. But at the same time, we are here to support you. And remember, we are there. We are not your stranger. We are not just graders. And that's what I want to emphasize more to everybody. And Dr. Kara might have different thoughts, but he kept nodding, which means he agrees some.
Yeah, actually, I totally agree. I mean, like the good thing is, yes, like you have flexibility, but at the same time, you have to be strategic because actually time flies, right? So like you have 7 weeks to complete the course, and every week, like sometimes, in our busy lives, you may find yourself, hey, oh, this is the last day, I have to do that. So having, like everything planned before, and I totally like, agree with Liz that you can actually be flexible, which is good because if you want to do a workout like in the middle of the day and you have that luxury, so you don't have to be like in classroom, in person, on campus, right? So but at the same time, those like I really value the live streams as well. I found like some of my students they had a chance like to interact with the instructor. Like even though those recordings will be provided, but definitely like having someone online at that time and then asking him or her some questions to clarify things, that is really valuable. And we tend to put those streams either on the weekends or late during the weekdays intentionally so that like if people are working they can make it to the live sessions. But all in all, I would say the last thing is to re-emphasize what Dr. An said. Yes, you are the driver, but also do not forget that we are here for you, which means like email us, send us a message through Blackboard. Do not postpone. If you're having trouble with your life, even like, hey, I won't be able to do that on time, we can accommodate those things. But of course, it is not a good habit like to do that every week because you have only 7 weeks per course. So
Exactly. 7 weeks does go by way quicker than 16 or
How you thought,
15
right?
weeks. Definitely. And so it's not the case, so you would want to wait. But each student has the opportunity to prioritize in the way that makes sense for their life. It makes sense for Liz's life to be able to do that midday workout as she chooses, and to just plan according to what is to come. So with that, we've heard the word capstone floating around, okay? What is a capstone? What can students expect for anyone who wants to share?
Liz, share it. You're doing it now.
A capstone is like a thesis. So throughout the program, you're kind of like building your skill set, right? So you're learning all of these new methods, and then you get to do a project. You get to do a project on whatever you want. And you can, so I'm doing mine on emotion dynamics and measuring them. So kind of very complex, multifaceted one that I can get running. We do not have, it does not fit into 45 minutes for me to explain it, but it's a um, two-part class where you're just writing a thesis. And it's on something that you choose. So it's probably a good idea as you're starting the program, even though I think I had an idea in the beginning and totally changed it. So, but as you're doing your classes, it's good to think, okay, so like what big projects do I want to do? And that's even like on the small scale as the class begins, because I liked all of those smaller projects that we did for each class. I tried to kind of connect mine, and I really liked, in the beginning of the course, I would look, okay, like what is the final assignment for this? And connecting it to stuff that's like useful for me. So definitely for the capstone, I would say it's like it's a big project. It's something that's going to take you several weeks, and it's on whatever you want. So as you're going through the program, really be thinking about like what are the areas that I want to do research in, what are the areas that I'm interested in, what courses are difficult or engaging or fun for me to do, and just kind of be constantly refining that and stay organized. That's also one of the other things. There are several like resources from other classes where I was like, oh, I know I did this. So you kind of use everything in the capstone. So like just keeping all of your old work, keeping everything accessible, and staying like just constantly thinking like, what am I interested in? What do I want to do for my project? Because it's a big project. Yeah.
So she kept saying about big projects, and it is a big project. However, it's a manageable project that you start from the beginning to the end. So beginning to end, I always think about life cycle. So data has a life cycle of problem formulation, and you think about topic, what does it matter? Is it really personal? Is it really socially important? What are things that I am so curious at my work, at my personal life, or anything that I have been curious, like Liz. Liz has been having that interest for a long time. So that's why she has so much rabbits in her brain that she had to really scale down. So something that you're curious is a problem. And then you have a data, anything. So data, in my view, it's information. Any information that you can answer your questions, that's your data collections. And then you do data analysis. And at the end, you need to talk about it. Otherwise, it is just sitting in your computer. No one knows. And you really need to effective talking that one to other people who never thought about that one in written languages. So that's a capstone project. There are two different parts that we are having at 718 and 719. The good thing about this one is we give every week. This week, you're going to write introduction. Here's what you need to write it. And it doesn't have to be big because it's only 10 page. 10 page of whatever you need to do from beginning to the end is your capstone project.
Got it. So as data has emerged and becoming something that is cutting edge, we're not only expecting analysts to understand data, we're expecting people in their individual professions, collectively, etc. A lot of data programs have been popping up. Why the University of Miami online?
So
Yeah.
sure, I'm gonna go with it because I thought about this one a lot as the person who founded this one. The difference between this program and other is not about we are not just teaching or developing data skills. It is about think about any problem and make the data-driven decision making as your leaders in the society. So that's why this whole master program has a two portion. One is dealing with the quantitative portion, dealing with the quality portion. However, in that one, it's another one that we are intentionally putting in is how you can think about problem from the beginning to implementation in a way that they can be measurable, they can be executable, which means it is all about what we do every single day using the data, making right decision, and from that one you are doing something implemented, and then evaluate that one, and if there are any mistake you just come back and changing it. That cycle is embedded in this program in a way that we are not teaching skills, because AI can do anything with coding and data analysis, but the one that you will be structuring as architecture, that's the one that we are always, in my view, that's different from other programs that I am pushing in as a foundation person. So that's a different from other data science program. That's one thing I want to say it. The other one is any from my ends, if you have some skills from the program here, you can apply this to any discipline you are interested in. You can go to education, you can go to social science, you can go to public health, you can go to law, you can go anything that you are interested in, which means it can be flexible from your application to what you like to go for next, because you become data-driven leaders and making positive social impact. I think that's the basic things that I really want to see as intentionally different from other programs. And I don't know how Lisa think about from my perspective, but that was what I was thinking to create this whole master program. So those are the one I want to say. And of course, it's you. Everybody love you, and we are good with the football, and everybody love University of Miami. So I think that's another one as another benefit. But from my end, the one who developed it, the one I really want everybody to be good leaders, and you guys are next generation who can make the leadership out there. So I'm gonna stop here, and I'm gonna open to Dr. Kara or Liz.
Yeah, I can kind of share my thoughts about that. That's true. Probably there are tons of programs, focusing on data, and considering like the AI and everything, even like a lot of actually engineers from like various fields, they started to really like become more like data scientists or data analysts. I agree with Dr. An. Actually, right now you can go to AI and then try to like literally, ask the AI or generative AI to do an analysis for you, right? But here the difference in this program is to give you a holistic experience. When I say holistic, if I can do the analysis, but if I cannot explain it, then it doesn't make any sense. Also, like if I don't know why I'm doing it, that's another thing. And I emphasize the connection with real life, which I value a lot, which means with these projects, it is not like a data science course where you are given a fake data set or like an unrelated data set that you are supposed to just like show up your skills, right? So that is the big difference, because your project is going to be your own story that you are going to write by using the skills you are learning from this program. And also at the end, of course, like we all want to make an impact. So, like based on my experience, I had really diverse like students worked on like really different topics, like from education, someone from psychology, like they applied a survey to students, but also at the same time, a student, she was interested in coral reefs, right? So, but they all like approach to their projects, but they all kind of like use the same, skill sets in terms of like performing data analysis. But oh no, I will just re-emphasize this, like the entire program is not only like about, yes, like we know how the world is going to what direction, and then we want to like literally give you like all those skills and just leave you alone with those, and you can use it No, we really value the connection with the real world. We value like the storytelling with data, making an impact, and then let you achieve your own goals in whatever role you are going to be in your future life, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can also just add, I actually took I took one course, like a Coursera type course that was more of like a certificate. And then I started to take something else that was just and didn't. But it's very different to do some of those Coursera type courses, they're not personal at all. So you're kind of you can tell that it's something that's just like a little bit mechanistic. It's like you feed in and it's like, okay, I'm gonna post what's the meaning behind this. So I think this program really develops a lot more critical thinking and like you get the personalization of it. It's like, this is what I want to do. It's more adaptive. It's not something where it's like, cool, this information is available on the internet and I can just do it. And you get feedback. So, like the feedback, the personalization, and it's definitely way more interactive than a lot of those programs. And I have friends who've done like very technical boot camp type things. And I have heard very mixed, like I've heard mixed things. I've heard people who've had good experiences, people who have not. I think that one of the big things that you get is this is it's a smaller group of people. You get a lot of personal attention and then you get a lot of agency and just like picking like, hey, this is what I'm interested in. And then this is how diverse it is. It's not just a bunch of people who are like, I want to apply to Google or, kind of just you get a lot of diversity, personalization, and then you get good feedback. So I think it's definitely different from the Coursera course I did, very different. So yeah, but
I love that point that you made, Liz, about just kind of the applicability to what you care about. Something that I see on the advising advocacy side is students have to know what their why is. Because, like we've discussed, it is not easy sometimes to manage life with school, with work, and all of the different hats that you guys wear, that Liz wears, etc. But if you're constantly able to see, okay, I am gaining skills to be able to justify why are we to change this policy or procedure at my job? Why do we need this product, etc.? How is this going to make my profession better? It makes a difference. And so the applicability absolutely is there. And I love that you touched on that in your own world. And I see that Dr. On is typing an answer to that to the question in the chat. But just to reiterate, yes, those credits can be used. So if you want to start with the certificate program, and then transition into the full master's, you need to talk to your enrollment advisor, and initiate that process. And then with that, we are about 5 minutes left, so I just want to get into some of the next steps for you guys and resources available to you. There is a career center. We do have an online library that you guys get to access that can help with doing your actual projects and capstones, etc. You are able to connect with both online and in person graduate students through the GSA or the Graduate Student Association. And we also have resources for students with differences in abilities. And then as far as next steps goes, to apply, you would need your transcript. We are able to accept unofficial transcripts. You would need your resume. If you are applying to federal aid, your FAFSA, personal statement, the application, and then 2 letters of recommendation. And now, with those materials and you guys completing them, something you want to keep in mind are our upcoming dates. So we do have an early admission deadline of November 3rd. Now you want to mark your calendar with this because this is our deadline to apply for early admission to be considered for a 50% tuition waiver and a $300 deposit fee waiver. And so you do not want to miss out on that opportunity. Again, that's Monday, November 3rd Write down that number, 1-800-411-2290. Speak with an enrollment advisor, and they'll let you know what your next steps are beyond that, anything that is specific to you. And then you can also start your application at that today. Thank you, each of you, Liz, Dr. Kara, Dr. Ahn, for joining, sharing your insights, and we hope to see you in the program.
Thank you,
Have a good night.
everybody. Have a good night.
Yeah. Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.